everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. I'm Stephen Cabral, board-certified naturopathic doctor. Really looking forward to today's Total Wellness Tuesday show. This was a completely unplanned episode. I was literally looking through one of my feeds on social media. It might have been Twitter, I'm not sure. I don't even use Twitter that often. But along came an ad, and I know exactly who this health practitioner is, or nutritionist, or whatever we want to say, and it was about the keto food pyramid. And when I saw the image that they posted, I literally almost lost my mind, because here's this person with so much influence. I know who they are. They have a lot of influence, and their influence and their community is only growing. The problem is the track that they're taking is misguided. It is seriously misguided, and I'm very worried that you have seen this keto food pyramid and that a lot of people are following it, and they're going to become very, very unhealthy. Now, will they lose weight in the short term? Yes, but that is not the point to life. The point to life is not to lose all the body fat on your body and then become crippled with low hormones, with digestive-based dysfunction, with anxiety, and with having to maintain that for the rest of your life following this type of a nutrition diet plan, which is not based on sound, long-term, emphasis on long-term nutritional advice. And I want to take you actually through the facts from a 30,000-foot view. I want you to understand this. I want you to start to think of this on your own. When I come across insane images such as this, does this fit with the overall perspective of health? Or is this a short-term type thing? Again, you could just not eat and lose weight. You could follow certain things and you'll lose weight. There's a lot of different reasons for that. Now, with a keto-based plan, so yes, I'm gonna go on a rant today, no doubt about it. But I do want to say there is efficacy to the keto-based diet, and there is efficacy to a low-carb diet. We use that in my practice. So I do not want to discredit that. I do not want to discredit it. I want to talk about, though, how it's being gone about. So again, having said that, I'm not going to talk down necessarily about it, but I'm going to talk down about how certain people are going about it. Now, on this image, I have to give you the graphic image. I have to, you know what I'll do today is I will do my best. If you go to stephencabral.com / today's episode 599. All right, 599 today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put up the pictures today of the 4 food pyramids I'm going to talk about and why I believe you should only follow one of these food pyramids for long-term health, weight loss, anti-aging. And I'll give you the science behind it from an overview, right? Because this is hopefully going to be a 15-minute podcast. So let's go through the first food pyramid and why I'm so vehemently against what they are preaching. Right now, this food pyramid that I'm looking at, I'm literally staring at it on my phone with this guy holding a fork up, and he looks like, I can't even make out what it is, but it looks like he's about to devour like a bag of meat or something like that. Okay. Or bacon, that's what it is. It's just a stack of bacon. Okay. So this person, again, with a lot of influence, is telling people to eat a lot of bacon, a ton of bacon. At the bottom of the keto food pyramid, again, this is not everyone's keto food pyramid. So I want to be honest with that. I'm saying this specific one, but I'm telling you, you're going to see it because this person spends a lot of money every month on advertising. And the real goal of this is that this person has a genuinely good, I believe, soul. Like, I believe that they're a good person who's trying to help people, and they've been misguided. That's the bottom line. Just misguided. That's it. And I want them to get back on track because I believe in them. I believe in their knowledge, and I just think that they went off track. I really do. So at the bottom of their food pyramid, we're looking at coconut oil, we're looking at bacon, we're looking at avocado, we're looking at butter, and we're looking at other types of oil. Okay, here's the thing. When you're looking at something like bacon, which is clearly the bottom, now the foundation is the bottom, right? So the foundation of your diet should essentially be high in fat and high in bacon. So what we're looking at, whether, I don't care if it's advertising or not, no problem to advertise. Advertise away. If you have a great product, I want you to advertise as much as possible because I want that great product to be in people's hands. So I don't have a problem with the advertising. The problem is you're advertising bacon. Bacon is legitimately one of the top carcinogens. Processed meat is one of the top carcinogens leading to cancer. Charcoal meat, processed meat. Please don't tell me that that is going to help you live a longer, healthier life. Can it help you lose weight? Yes, because you are eliminating one macro group, which essentially is carbs. So you're putting fat at the bottom of the food pyramid. I get it. I understand it. Believe me, nutrition is my life. Everything else is secondary to that. Food and what we eat is my life. That's what I'm preaching. And then, yes, there's all sorts of functional medicine, lab testing, and sleep, and lifestyle changes, and detoxification, and nutritional supplements, all those great things, yes. But it starts with food. And if you start with bacon, trust me, short term, yes, you'll lean out. Long term, you probably won't live that long. That's the bottom line. You will get some type of disease, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, next up on the food pyramid, on this keto food pyramid, salmon or fish and red meat and poultry. Okay, so again, we've got lots of fat and then lots of protein. After that, I'm going to dissect this in just a second. After that are the vegetables, the eggs and the cheese and the milk. And then at the top of the food pyramid is nuts, seeds, and berries. Now, again, losing my mind because as you'll see in a minute, that is the exact opposite to the longest lived people in the world. So all of a sudden, now, again, forget about the last 10,000 years of recorded human history. Forget about that. We're going to go with this plan right here of an absolutely upside down food pyramid. Now, again, I want to let you know right now that I'm not against fat, and I'm not against protein, and I'm not against even people deciding to eat meat if they choose to. I have no problem with that. That is not the argument today. I want you to understand, though. So again, let's be clear. This is not an argument of paleo or meat eater versus vegetarian versus vegan. That is not it. I look at things from literally as unbiased a perspective as possible. Why? Because I want to live as long and as healthy as possible. I want my parents to. I want my siblings to, my family. I want my wife. I want my 2 little girls to grow up being very, very healthy. I want everyone in my practice, and I want our entire community. And that's you listening to this right now. I want you to be as healthy as possible. And then I want you to teach your significant other and to teach your kids, your family, your coworkers. All right, so when I see this, I say this is way off basis because it's not even possible that this could be the normal human diet. Because as humans, did all of a sudden, there's fat, so we have bacon, we have all these things. Well, where's bacon coming from? It's coming from a pig for the most part. There are different types of bacon, but we're coming from pork. And then we're looking at dairy or butter fat. Okay, understood. I get that. But since when, and the next phase is meat. Okay, since when did humans' primary food source become animals? Since never. I mean, it shouldn't be that way. All of a sudden now we have the ability to hunt over the last, couple thousand years significantly. But what about before that? At what point when we didn't have, just ask yourselves, at what point when we didn't have weapons, and that was a lot of our life, right? That was a lot of the human existence. How would you take your fingernails and your little jar and teeth, and believe me, so I know there'll be a lot of rebuttals to this, but I've looked at jaw structure. I've looked at the teeth structure. I've looked at that in the Neanderthal man. I've looked at that. This is not a pet project of mine. This is my life, okay? And I have no dog in the race. I always say that. I don't care who's right. I want to just see who is right. So when I look at this, I'm saying, okay, humans, think about this. Just think about any animal. Okay, think about a cow, so we're eating meat. Or think about a wild boar with tusks. You're telling me, as a human, you are going to run down a 4-legged animal, you're going to grab it, wrestle it to the ground, and somehow kill it with your bare hands, or bite its neck or bite through it and able to kill it? How are you going to do that? I'm just trying to figure that out right now. So you and your 2 legs are not going to catch that 4-legged animal. That's just not going to happen. Again, with teams and groups and some weapons, yes. So again, I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is humans currently constructed, how they were constructed hundreds of thousands of years ago as well, before all of this was possible. Okay, so even if you catch the animal, how are you going to kill it? How are you going to bite through its thick hide? How are you going to skin it? With what? With your fingernails? With your little teeth? At what point in human history? Because I haven't seen the skull and I haven't seen the jaw structures and I haven't seen the teeth that have the fangs in order to actually tear through flesh. Maybe a human, but certainly not an animal with a hide. That's what I'm looking at right now. I'm saying, how is that possible? And then, so just say, okay, well, it is possible. Just say, okay, well, yes, we did develop spears, we developed knives, all of those things. Okay. But our digestive system did not change along with that. So at no point did our digestive system switch to a shorter digestive tract. When you look at a carnivore, please keep in mind, when you look at a carnivore, someone that's eating predominantly meat and a lot of fats as well, just coming from animal-based products. Again, I'm going by this keto food pyramid. I'm not going by another one that's high in coconuts or things like that. So please, I'm just going by this one today. This is the argument that I'm talking about. These are the types of images that I have a problem with. If you want to promote a keto-based diet, understand that, but not from this perspective, not from the bacon perspective, not from the butter-based perspective. A carnivore has a short and smooth digestive tract to immediately break down the food with what? 10 times the amount of hydrochloric acid in their stomach than a human has. Like think of a cat, a true carnivore. 10 times the amount of hydrochloric acid. That means they can actually burn up all that protein and flesh. We as humans can't. We don't have that acid of a stomach. We don't produce that much hydrochloric acid as true carnivores do. Okay? True carnivores, just to let you know too, I'm not going to get, there's so many things I could talk about. I don't want to make this a 40-minute seminar, is that they also hunt at night. They're nocturnal. Again, you can hunt during the day. I understand that. So I'm not going to make that the main premise of my argument. But they have short digestive tracts to get that meat immediately out of their system. Once they've been able to use it and process it, they have a lot of stomach acid, and they have teeth that can actually rip through flesh, and we can't. So could you see yourself in nature running down an animal, grabbing it, somehow killing it, and then bite it into its flesh and eating it? Because that's what you would do if you were a true carnivore. Again, am I saying you can't have some meat in your diet? I'm not saying that. That's not today's argument. What I'm saying, though, is that the human diet never at any point has evolved to be able to take in that much meat or that much fat that goes along with this type of meat. So, again, there are many other studies as well showing vegetarian-based cultures, vegan-based cultures. There's so many. I mean, you can just go to the Medical Tribune. You can look at a lot of different studies, and they show that the more meat you eat, the more osteoporosis you're typically getting. Not some meat. Again, I'm not saying some meat. I'm saying a lot of meat. The more meat you eat, the Inuit people, right? So we talk about the Inuit people. High protein diet, right? High protein diet. A lot of calcium intake. That means they should be good, right? Their bones should be nice and strong. They have one of the highest rates of osteoporosis. Why? When you take in that much meat, if you produce that much acids, those much acids, again, I'm not saying that you can't produce acid. What I'm saying is everyone thinks there's no such thing as acid and alkaline. There is. Your body starts to pull, steal calcium from the bones to neutralize the acids. That is biochemistry. That really does happen. You can watch it happen within the body yourself by using minerals, alkaline minerals, to balance the body, to maintain that 7.356 in the blood that we all talk about. That is how it's maintained. It's not magic. It happens through the chemistry within the body. So what I want to do is I want to move on from that. I want you to understand that if you are going to be eating meat, I want you to do it as some of the better food pyramids, which I want to explain. Now, I just had to get that off my chest. It's one of those things where I see that millions of people are going to see that ad, millions of people. And they're going at first glance to say like, oh, well, maybe that's how I should be eating. And that should not be the case. The USDA food pyramid, so that's in the United States, what are they saying for us to eat? Well, their newer updated one is you should be having about 6 to 11 servings of bread, cereal, rice, and pasta. So they're recommending essentially processed grains. Okay? Not healthy. We'll talk about that in a moment. After that, they're recommending 2 to 4 servings of fruit. They're recommending 3 to 5 servings of vegetables. Next up on the pyramid, every step up means you should do less of it, essentially. So the next step up is meat, poultry, fish, dry beans, eggs, and nuts. And that's 2 to 3 servings per day. Okay. The milk, yogurt, and cheese group is 2 to 3 servings per day. Okay. And then we move up to the last part, and that's fats, oils, and sweets. So what do we like about this? Well, and we're going to start to get better each time. What we don't like is that the foundation of their pyramid is processed grains. Now, we know that we do want a lot of fiber in our diet, unlike the keto diet. Again, we're talking about this specific pyramid. You can have your own keto diet, but we're talking about this pyramid today, okay? Is we certainly don't want a lot of processed grains. It's going to increase all markers, everything from triglycerides to LDL-based cholesterol, apolipoprotein little a. It's going to increase blood sugar, insulin dysregularity, which leads to then type 2 diabetes, any inflammatory based condition, so many different things, right? So we certainly know we don't want that. They're getting it closer with fruits and vegetables, but they don't say what fruit. They just say more fruits and vegetables. Only 3 to 5 servings of vegetables. That's a very, very minor, small amount. And they're still including a lot of milk, a lot of dairy products. So we don't necessarily like that. So let's move on to the next one. All right, the next one is the Mediterranean-based diet. Now, if you're looking for a diet that has really, really the most research around, that has how do we lower our chances for disease? How do we lower inflammation? How do we lower cardiovascular disease? How do we help the heart? How do we do all of those things? Blood pressure, all of these things. Well, let's look at it. The foundation of the Mediterranean diet is fruits, vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, beans, nuts, legumes, seeds, herbs, and spices. Now we're on to something. Why? Because this is moving us closest to an anti-aging and a anti-cancer-based, anti-disease-based diet. Why would it do that? Well, the human digestive tract, let's go back now. We don't produce as much stomach acid, right? That's a fact. We don't as a carnivore. Now, you can call us an omnivore, and I'm not disagreeing with that because I want to wrap things at the end. We are an omnivore. I completely agree with that. But let's qualify that at the end. What does that actually mean? Okay, what are we doing? Well, we have this long digestive tract, somewhere around 28 feet. Give or take a foot or two, depending on the size of the human being, right? But that's what we're looking at. We need a lot of fiber in our diet. We need a lot of fiber to keep that digestive tract healthy. And we know now that on a keto-based diet, cutting out a lot of our carbs, guess what? It throws off our microbiome. And what's our microbiome? Well, it's only the most important structure in our body that leads to 80% of our immune system because it makes up the gut wall of that 24 feet, 25 feet of the rest of the digestive tract. Pretty important. It's what makes our B vitamins, a lot of them. It's what makes a lot of that vitamin K. It helps to process our serotonin, which then leads to our melatonin, help us sleep at night. All of those things are vital, and this is what feeds that gut. Fat doesn't feed it, not in the same way. Protein doesn't feed it, not in the same way. And without this fiber on a keto diet, now we're really worried about things like colon cancer, those types of things, because you are not moving those putrefying meats through your digestive tract. So fruits, vegetables, whole grains, again, that's give and take because that might not be great for a lot of people. Olive oil, beans, nuts, legumes, seeds, herbs, and spices. All things that have been shown to lower cardiovascular-based issues, lower blood pressure, lower inflammation, which is a symptom of a lot of these underlying root issues. Now, what's next after this foundation? Fish and seafood, okay? So high omega-3, good fat from fish and seafood. Humans would have lived near water. That just makes sense. They need a source of water. It's the most important thing. They need to live by a food source as well. Easier to catch things like mollusks and shellfish and shrimp and those types of things and set some type of trap for fish rather than running after a four-legged animal. Now, is it easy to swim in the water and catch a fish? Absolutely not. But there are ways around streams and in the ocean, and it's easier to do, right? And then what's next after that foundation? Some poultry, meaning like things like chicken or turkey or duck. I guess that would be a little bit different. And some eggs, some cheese, and yogurt. And it says basically every 2 days or infrequently. And so it's not necessarily a daily thing as well. What's at the very top? Meats and sweets, right? So a little bit of meat, and that would be non-poultry. It could be a red meat or something like that. And sweets, which is just every once in a while, you can have a little bit of a treat, okay? So that's the Mediterranean. All right. So that, of course, again, looking at human physiology, much more on par. One more before I wrap it up, and that is the Blue Zones diet. So please do keep in mind the Blue Zones diet. You've heard me talk about it often. This is a study, an independent study. I don't believe that there's any bias in this at all. Sought out, and again, you can look up Blue Zones diet on the Cabral concept because I've reviewed it multiple times before. But when we're looking at the Blue Zones diet, we're really looking at the longest lived people on Earth. And we're looking at it, what were those indigenous-based diets, okay? What were they for longevity? And again, believe me, I've read it all, right? I mean, I've 3,500 plus books. everything that you can imagine, studied all over the world. I've read Nutrition and Physical Degeneration by Weston Price, and I admire the book, and I think it's a great book. And what it's really showing you is processed food is bad. Completely agree. Those weren't even the longest lived populations. They just had less disease, less cavitations, those types of things. We're looking at longest lived people, okay? What's the foundation of the Blue Zone's diet? Fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables. Mainly vegetables. What's next? Low-fat protein. Fish, poultry, things like that. Monounsaturated fats comes next. What's that? Well, they're from things like olives, avocado. Great monounsaturated fats. Very healthy, very anti-inflammatory. Great for the cardiovascular system as well. What's last? Breads, grains, starches, things like that. So some of those breads and items like that. The Blue Zone's diet is literally, now this has been, if you want to live a long time, it's been proven. I mean, this is it. A small portion of the diet, about 10% or so. Again, I've talked about this so many times in the Cabral concept, but I want to reiterate it, and I want to keep saying it over and over, is that 60 to 80% of your diet should be fruits and vegetables. Now, if you're worried about weight gain and you are more of the endomorphic body type, you're going to do predominantly vegetables and lots of them. You're going to do your leafy greens, and you're going to do asparagus, and you can do bok choy and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower and all of these great sulfurous-based vegetables as well. And then you can do some berries if you're worried about the glycemic index of fruit. I'm okay with that. And then a small portion of your diet is going to be protein. And then, yes, you're going to get some fat as well through some of that protein, as well as things like avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds, all of those things. And then every once in a while, yes, you can do some starches and grains. And the more of an ectomorph you are, the more of a lean body type, the more starches that you'll have. And they'll come from yams and sweet potatoes. And they'll come from other potatoes and other items like that. And those, again, all shown, but they're really root vegetables, right? That's your starch right there as well. So if you don't want to use rice, if you don't want to use oatmeal, that's okay. That's all right. You can still get your starches in other ways as well from root vegetables if you're grain-free or paleo or any one of those things. But I'm telling you right now, if you are following any other diet for the long term, any other diet that does not put fruit and vegetables as the cornerstone, in the long term, you will be incorrect. Now, I've been there. Again, I learn everything the hard way. Literally, I've always done that. That's my special trait. I like to learn the hard way. But I'm trying to save you that. I'm trying to save you some years of frustration. In the short term, you can follow another type diet. But in the long term, you have to transition. And you can follow a low-carb diet and actually have the base of your diet still be vegetation. It can still be fruits and vegetables. And it's honestly as simple as doing your smoothie in the morning, a lot of greens, a lot of other things in there. You can use some berries. You can use a pea and rice-based powder, a hemp-based powder. I'm not even going to mention a single product on the show because I want to make sure that you know that this is a completely unbiased show, and I want you just to focus on your whole food. What does it look like, okay? So you can still follow a very low-carb diet if you choose to by keeping vegetables as your foundation. Now, I want to go back to some of our closest species. And I'm actually going to wrap this up really quick because I want to just respect your time. And that's this, is when you look at the diets of a chimpanzee, a monkey, whatever it might be, they actually have some meat in their diet. So again, like I want to show both sides to this. All I want to be is very transparent and unbiased. About 5 to 10% of their diet is still some type of actual meat. All right, it is. It's a small amount. What does that mean? It's very similar to the Blue Zone's diet. 10%, 5-10%. So here's what I like to tell people. Honestly, I want you to be the healthiest, happiest human being, and I want you to be that way for a very long time. And I believe that your best chance to do that is by eating the foods, the only foods in the world that have been proven to kill cancer cells and to fight disease. And that is the antioxidant power of brightly colored fruits and vegetables. We know that if we walk into a grocery food store and you see these beautiful, brightly colored foods versus that hunk of decaying meat right there, you know that, again, like this is what we were meant to go for. It is. Now, and I'm telling you this just, again, unbiased wise, you can still have some meat in your diet. You can still have some fish in your diet. You can still have some eggs in your diet and be a very healthy human and live a very long time. But what I'm telling you is this, is that if you don't make the foundation of your diet vegetation, produce, 60 to 80%, meaning like on your plate, it shouldn't be 60 to 80% avocado, bacon, some type of protein, whatever, like eggs. It should be almost all of that plate vegetation, vegetables, lots of them. You can put some sweet potatoes in there. You can put a little olive oil and lemon on top. Great. Do that. A little sea salt if you want. Himalayan sea salt or Redmond's real salt. And then your protein is going to be that garnish. It's going to be that small part on your plate. Now, again, when I was doing natural bodybuilding, those types of things, I ate tons of meat. I did. I ate probably like 8 ounces at 3 meals per day. And then I had another 2 to 3 whey protein shakes a day. And I grew and my muscles grew very large, but I was not a healthy human being during that part. That's why how your body looks externally and versus how it looks internally are two very different things. I could go on and on. I want to keep it at that for today. All I want is this. I honestly do. I want you to be the happiest, healthiest human being alive. And I know that you are not going to get that any other way in the long term, if you don't make the majority of your diet 80% vegetation, fruits, vegetables, all the things that we were meant to eat that are high in fiber. If you do that, then honestly, that other 10%, that other 20% maximum, it doesn't even really matter as much. It doesn't. So thank you everyone for tuning into the Cabral Concept. Appreciate each and every one of your listens. Please do feel free to share this controversial Cabral Concept with anyone you'd like. Take care. Once again, thank you for just tuning into the Cabral Concept. Most months, I try to bring you some special offer where I like to introduce you to something you may not be familiar with, but that I believe could dramatically improve your overall health and well-being. That's why for the month of September 2017, I'd like to share with you the #1 B complex vitamin in the industry. This formula contains only the methylated versions of the B vitamins, such as B12 and folate, which means you get the safest and easiest way to naturally boost your levels. And if you're unfamiliar with the advantages of how B vitamins can help improve your life, they're known as the anti-stress and energy vitamin family. I personally take one with breakfast to give me an energy boost and better adapt to stress when working a lot or traveling. This is also the same exact formula I use in my functional medicine practice, and I want you to enjoy the same product my private wellness clients get. Plus, while supplies last, I'll be giving away 100 bottles this month with all qualifying purchases over $99. Limit 1 per customer and U.S. residents only. To get your free bottle today, simply go to stephencabral.com/store.